Squiz Kids acknowledges the traditional owners of the lands on which we podcast, the Turrbal and Kombumerri people.
Squiz Kids!
It's your daily news fix. Fun, free, fresh.
Good morning and welcome to Squiz Kids Today, your fresh take on what's happening in the world around you. I'm Bryce Corbett. It's Thursday, August 15. In Squiz Kids Today, it's NAPLAN report card time. Astronauts stuck in space. The island prison that wasn't. And cooking cane toads for crocs. That's what's making news, kids style.
The Lowdown.
Were you one of the 1.3 million Aussie school kids who sat the NAPLAN tests earlier this year? Then you're also probably one of the 1.3 million who received their results this week at school and have had a chance to see where your black dot hovers on the scales that measure how good we are as a nation of young readers, writers, spellers, and mathematicians. Did you do okay? Good for you. Do you think maybe you could have done a bit better? Well, that's the nature of exams, my friends. And according to reports, you're in very good company, with experts yesterday saying that 1 in 3 students had failed basic tests of reading and writing in these NAPLAN exams. Finding commas and recognising verbs was reportedly a big problem for many students, with education experts now poring over the results to work out how to lift the results in the future. And it turns out that where you live makes a difference to how well you performed in NAPLAN, with kids in the cities generally doing better than kids in the country, and Indigenous kids doing 3 times worse than non-Indigenous Aussie students. And girls, according to NAPLAN, you're better at writing than boys, though boys appear to have pipped you at the post when it comes to maths. And remember, as we always say here at Squiz Kids, it's just a test. It doesn't measure how creative you are, or how good a sports player you are, or a dancer, or a painter, or for that matter, how kind you are. And at the end of the day, that's the real test we should all be trying to pass every day.
Spin the globe.
Each day we give the world globe a spin and find a news story from wherever it stops. And today we've landed on the International Space Station, which I know is not technically on the world globe, but kind of hovering in orbit around it. And the reason we've landed there is twofold. Because a couple of astronauts who thought they'd be spending a week up there are now looking at staying up there until February. Gosh, I hope they packed enough underwear. And that's because there have been a few technical issues with their spacecraft, called the Starliner. Happily though, the 2 astronauts have slotted into life on the space station with its 7 other permanent residents, helping out with science experiments and doing their best to not get in the way, and most likely asking to borrow deodorant. Meanwhile, one of the astronauts aboard the space station this week posted a video of the Aurora Borealis, seen from space, the spectacular light show that plays in the North Pole region of our planet. I've stuck a link to it in today's episode notes because it is stunning.
Weird science.
Did you know that this week is National Science Week, celebrating the important role that science and scientists play in our everyday lives? And to celebrate, we're shining a spotlight on some truly weird but wonderful science that is being practiced as we speak in the northernmost bit of Western Australia. Scientists there have been cooking up cane toads, to teach crocodiles not to eat them. You see, cane toads have become such a problem across the top end that crocs have been eating them, and in many cases dying because of the cane toad poison. So, clever scientists have been teaching crocs not to eat cane toads by cooking the cane toads, removing their poison sac, injecting a little bit of a chemical that makes crocs feel a little bit sick after eating the cane toad carcass, just enough so that the next time the crocs come across a live cane toad, they don't eat it. How clever. It's all about maintaining the delicate balance in the local ecosystem. Cane toad casserole, anyone? No thanks. Every Thursday, Squizzy the Newshound pops his head into Squiz Kids HQ to report back on fishy things he's sniffed out on the internet. And this week, there are just so many examples of misinformation and disinformation doing the rounds of social media, he doesn't know where to start. But one example really caught his eye. An example of what we call disinformation, which is when someone creates fake news with a sinister motive, which is to say, to create chaos and confusion. In this case, someone created a fake news story claiming the United Kingdom government had set up a prison on a faraway island to send people who had been rioting in the streets. Except the person who set it up had used Photoshop to make the story look like it had been reported by an actual newspaper in London, and that story online looked so authentic that Tesla founder and the owner of the X message platform Elon Musk retweeted it to his millions of followers so even more people were duped by it. It's another reason to always do as Squizzy tells us, and that is to, say it with me, stop, think, and check before believing everything we see on the internet. And a special shout out to Squizzy for all the hard work that he's been doing lately overhauling Newshounds, Squiz Kids' very own free media literacy program for primary school kids. We're so excited to share with you the new website, the new sessions, and the new game board. It's all looking really, really good, even if I say so myself. Don't forget, our Book Week competition is underway and will be in full swing next week, just as you're getting your glue guns out. For your chance to win an Allen and Unwin book pack, all you have to do is upload to an adult's Instagram account a photo of your Book Week costume, tagging us at SquizKids or using the hashtag SquizKids. We'll share them on our socials to get into the Book Week swing of things. And remember, we're looking for effort as much as we're looking for excellence. Even if your mastery of the glue gun is not so good, we want to see how you've had a go, in the great Aussie tradition. 'Cause you gotta be in it to win it.
Time for the quiz.
This is the part of the podcast where you get to test how well you've been listening. Question number 1. What's the name of the spacecraft that's been having technical problems and can't bring back a couple of astronauts down to Earth? Well done if you said Starliner. Question number 2. Which animal, an invasive species, have been making crocs sick in WA? Yes, of course, cane toads. Ugh. Question number 3. What's the name of the spectacular light show that plays in the sky above the North Pole? Well done if you said Aurora Borealis.
Shoutouts.
It's Thursday, August 15. Today is the birthday of Hunger Games film star Jennifer Lawrence. And it's also a special day for these Squiz Kids celebrating a birthday today. Evelyn from Yass, Elijah from Somerville, Bella from Rutherford, Kelsey from Pymble, Ella from Carnegie, Zachary from Canberra, Jackson from Perth, and Caitlin from Lane Cove. And today's classroom shoutouts go to Class 5B with Miss Breenan and Mr. Washington at Bannockburn Primary School, Class 3-4M with Mrs. Falk at Inverell Public School, Learning Support Group with Mr. Ayres and Sacred Heart College in Newtown, Class 5N with Mrs. Sharvey at Gumdale State School, Class 5-6CM with Mrs. Morrow at Mirani State School, Class 5-6A with Mrs. Graham at Bradbury Public School, and Class 3-4I with Mrs. Mosley at Sutherland North Primary School. Don't forget, if you've got a birthday coming up and you want a shout out, or if you're after a classroom shout out, drop us a line at squizkids@thesquiz.com.au or fill out the form on our website. Well, that's all we have time for. Thanks for listening to Squiz Kids today. We'll be back again tomorrow with the Kids vs. Adult Weekly News Quiz. Your chance to see how well you've been paying attention all week. In the meantime, get out there and have a most excellent day. Over and out.